Good morning, fourth grade. So we are back for a second portion of our lesson with Treasure Allen, our compare and contrast. And today we're going to reveal those answers. And let me get to my screen here. Let's see. Let me go back. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, so let's get back to, let's start our slideshow. And so you were going to go back and reread the story to find some similarities between Billy Bones, better known as the Captain, and Black Dog. So let's review a little bit before we go over those answers. We talked about on Monday, what does it mean to compare and contrast? And we said compare and contrast means to look closely at something in order to show likeness and differences. Compare is used for showing the likeness between two or more things. All right, so get out your papers. Okay, so we're going to talk about the similarities of the two characters, Billy Bones, better known as the Captain, and Black Dog. So when you were looking for similarities, you had to go back and reread the stories to see what the story said about these characters. All right, so make sure when you're searching for answers that you get the answers out of the text, okay? So let's go back and see what they said about the Captain. All right. So on the first page, we're talking about, it talks about the end and it talks about when. The second paragraph talks about when the captain shows up on the scene. Okay, so on this second paragraph right here, if you can see my little mouse, it says, I remember the old seaman plodding in the inn door, dragging an enormous sea chest behind him. Now, here's the description. It says, he was a tall, nut brown man. That's one of the similarities. He was a guy. Okay, they were both men. Let me go back to where we put our answers. Okay, so for Billy Bones, and better known as the Captain, and Black Dog, the similarities were they were both parrots. First of all, they were both parrots. So we put that as our first similarity. They are both parrots. And you're going to write that on both sides, okay? That thing, or being parrots, was one of the things that made them similar. They were both men, okay? And they are both looking for someone. Remember in the story that the captain had the innkeeper to keep a lookout for someone. He was looking for someone. He wanted to make sure no one was following him. So he was looking for someone. And then Black Dog was, when he showed up on the scene, he was also looking for someone. Who was he looking for? Who remembers who he was looking for? Right, he was looking for the captain. So check your papers. You compare them to my screen. So the three similarities between Billy Bones, better known as the Captain, and Black Dog were they were both pirates, they are both men, and they both are looking for someone. Okay. Next, you were asked to find some differences between the two characters. What was different? Okay. For Billy Bones, the captain, it says he was tall and nut brown. Okay, that was his skin color. He was tall and nut brown. So if I went back to the text, just bear with me here. Okay, so here we go. This is the description of the captain. Second paragraph, it says, if you can follow my mouse right here on the screen, it says he was a tall, nut brown man. That's the first difference. All right. And I know that that's true because it's in the text. Make sure you're always getting your answers for the text. Then it says he had gnawed hands. All right. That's the second feature. He had gnawed hands. And if you can follow my mouse here, if you need to know how to spell it, it's right here. All right here where my mouse is. He had gnawed hands. And then the third feature says he had black broken nails. That's a third feature of the captain. So if I went back to my chart here, my compare contrast template, that's where I'm going to write my answers. Tall, nut brown man. This is for Billy Bones, the captain. Gnawed hands and black broken nails. All right, so now let's take a look at Black Dog. Let's see what the story said his features were. So if I go back a little bit, and let's see if we can find that in our story. All right, so when I go to the last page of the reading, I'm right here. If you can follow my mouse, second paragraph, last sentence. This is the description of Black Dog. Okay, he was pale. If you can follow my mouse, he was pale. That's one feature. Rascally looking is what it says next. He was rascally looking. I'm still in the second paragraph, last sentence. And then it says he was missing 2 fingers. All right, so here's my mouse again. Here we go. He was pale, feature number 1. Rascally looking, feature 2. And he was missing 2 fingers. So if you wrote those down, and if you went back and reread, you got those answers from the text, okay? So Black Dog was pale, rascally looking, and he had 2 missing fingers. Those are some of the differences between the captain and Black Dog. All right, lastly, we were going to look at some similarities and differences between the time frame in the story. We were going to compare and contrast the time frame of Treasure Island and today's time. So check your answers. All right, let's start over here where it says time frame of Treasure Island. It was a time where people used big ships to travel on. Back then, they used a lot of ships, those huge ships that pirates traveled on. They used those to get around most of the time, to go to different islands, to go to different states. They travel by ship. And the next one is, it was a time where pirates were very common. Reading Treasure Island, if you notice, they were always looking for seafaring men, which was one of our vocabulary words. And we remember that seafaring meant living on a ship or working on the ship. That was very common during that time. And lastly, when the captain showed up on the scene at the inn, he paid for his stay at the inn with gold coins. If you go back to the first page of the reading, you will see where the captain paid the innkeeper with gold coins. All right, let's look at today's times. So how do we travel today? Today we use cars to travel in versus ships, right? So we use cars today. When we pay for things, we use paper money instead of gold coins, because we use bills, dollar bills, 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, okay? You don't really see too many people paying in gold coins, hardly ever. And our last one is something that could be considered a similarity. People stayed in inns during the time of Treasure Island, but today they still stay in inns, but we use a different term. It's called a bed and breakfast. Who's ever heard of bed and breakfast? Okay, so if you haven't heard of bed and breakfast is usually a big house, really big, and the owner let people stay there, and the people who stand there will pay the owner a fee to stay there for a day or 2 days or for a week. And the owner provides the breakfast, cooks the breakfast for all the guests who are staying in their home. They cook lunch and dinner. And in return, the guests can stay, have a room. They have free roam of the house. And usually a bed and breakfast usually have a good landscape where they have plenty of land where people would like to go to vacation. It could be near the beach. It could just be on acres of land where they just wanted to go and do some hiking. So that is called a bed and breakfast. Or another term for an inn today could be an Airbnb. You may have heard of that. How many of you have heard of Airbnb? Okay, so Airbnbs are getting pretty popular in Nashville because people like to come and travel here. Airbnb is also a home, usually a little bit smaller than a bed and breakfast, but still the owners of the house rent out rooms to people who want to visit the city. The people who are staying there pay the owner, and maybe the owner cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but most likely they probably won't. And so if you're staying at an Airbnb, you're only paying for the room. And so you're responsible to take care of your food yourself. So that means the people might have to go out to restaurants and eat. They go out to see sights of the city because maybe they don't live here in Nashville and they want to go visit tours or Music City, downtown, Broadway, or go to some country music concerts, anything like that. And another term for inn today will be a hotel. Of course, we're familiar with hotels, big building, a lot of rooms, and you go and you pay at the front desk. And some hotels offer breakfast in the morning. It's included with your cost of your stay, and some do not. So that was our lesson, compare and contrast. If you got most of your answers right or you were close, you did a great job. I'm proud of you. Keep working so you can be ready for next year. Keep reading. Another thing I want you to try when you're at home for compare and contrast, you can get a book that you already have, or if you don't have any books, you can get a piece of paper and write down some similarities between you and your sister or you and your brother. And then on the other side, you can write what's different about you and your sister or you and your brother. Okay, so try those exercises. I'm glad to see you all, meet with you again this week. And this week also, keep your eyes peeled on YouTube. This week, we're going to be posting a story from, guess who? Mama Kay. Mama Kay, spoke with her, and she's wanting to read you a story, another adventure, and we love her stories and her activities. She's going to have an activity for you to do. So hopefully keep your eyes open. It should be posted tomorrow. All right. So make sure you keep working, keep reading, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.